Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my precious pack, and welcome back once more to Vega Conflict. The Awakening event has been underway for nearly 3-4 hours. Well, 3 hours, 30 minutes almost at the time I'm recording this. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at the malware targets. And at the beginning there, I just took a quick look at the size of the operators compared to a Trojan, and honestly, they're smaller than them, partially. Well, in general, they're smaller. The only thing that makes them larger is the wings. That's it. If it wasn't for the wings, they would actually be fairly small ships, which is a bit of a surprise, but actually pretty interesting. Now, as for the fight, well, the targets are doing plasma and energy damage. The operators are doing nothing but energy damage, whereas the Trojans are doing essentially nothing but plasma damage. So, if you have an energy plasma resistant Orator build, you should be just fine, actually. And thankfully, due to built-in plasma resistance, you shouldn't have to focus too heavily on it. And this is the level 94 target. They actually get harder and harder, but one thing I want to point out right now, I performed all 3 attacks in this fight back to back, so the repair time racked up is the total repair time for hitting a 94, 96, and a 98. And the 96 is nearly identical to the 94, with the exception of a little bit more damage, a little bit more health. But again, if you can rush the targets down, you'll have no issues. And the reason you'll have no issues is because you can completely overpower the new phasing mechanic of them once they come out of phase the first time, as you're going to see. And thanks to them focusing on the zealots, it gives me the chance to just pummel them, which is kind of what I want. But as you can see, so long as you can keep on target, you'll have no issues with being able to force them out of phase. The targets themselves, I want to say they're simple, not really difficult. Every now and then you'll see something like that will happen where they go into phase, but they don't last long. And the targets themselves, as I was saying, they're quite simple actually in terms of a flight mechanic. These were the first attacks I performed on each of the targets as well, so it was just a matter of adapting the previous strategy I used, or the previous flight plan, partially using it during the next one to be able to fight the targets easily. And just like that, the 96 is down. Finally, the 98. This one is considerably more dangerous. It hits a little bit harder, but it's doable quite easily. And again, the same rule applies. If you can get a certain number of targets within your firing reticles, well, within your firing arcs in range, you should have little to no issues with more or less forcing them out of phasing and keeping them in regular space, because you'll just overpower them. Such is what happens right here. That operator becomes a liability for every other ship around him, because you hit the one, you drain their phase, and the others suffer because of it. And because the phase pools have been decreased drastically and the charge time is so low, well, they typically don't get to enter phase again. At all. And you can see there I made a mistake of turning my back on a Trojan while I had the operators charging and things like that, but that also gave my Orator a chance to activate the defensive overdrive. And as you can see, it works to a deadly effect as the Orator begins to miss a few shots, but these zealots begin tearing ships apart very, very hastily. And that's basically it. The targets are straightforward, simple, and if you have an Orator Mark 6, well, Elite, you'll have no issues if you have a mixture of the Xeno weapon builds, so Glance Cannon and the Prime Vulcan. No specials. But that's going to be it for now, everybody. Be safe out in the void, happy hunting, and as always, I'll see you later.